Hi guys, welcome back to our next episode. My name is Nikki and I am the Managing Director of Ingenious Personnel, which is a recruitment agency. If this is your very first time on our platform, this is where we talk about recruitment, we talk about interviews, we talk about everything that has to do with getting employed. On today's topic, I'm going to be giving you 4 tips on what you can do to calm your anxiety or to calm your stress levels if you are somebody that is going for interviews. Again, if that is the topics that you like, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Let's get to the tips. Get right into it. If you watched, our previous videos 2 weeks ago, we spoke about the type of questions that you should not ask in the interview. That was last week. So last week we shared 10 tips of the type of questions not to ask in an interview. The week before that, we spoke about the type of questions that you can ask in an interview. So this week, I want us to tackle the mind. I want us to just focus on relaxing the mind prior to that interview. As we all know and as we all understand, interviews is a scary process. It is normal for you to get stressed. It is normal for you to feel the butterflies and feel nervous in an interview. And on today's video, like I mentioned earlier, I want us to tackle the mind and tackle the anxiety and the stress that you feel prior to going in for your interview. Okay, so let's get right into the tips. Tip number 1, I always say this. Research the business. Research your employer. See where they are, look at the location, look at the type of products, look at what they do, read about their values, their cause, what do they stand for. Research the business. Not only that, you also want to practice the basic interview questions that you might be asked in an interview. There's basic interview questions that you can either look them up, or you can speak to friends within your network, or you can even ask your consultant if you're somebody that is going through a recruitment agency. So the basic questions is, tell us a little bit more about yourself. What makes you the best candidate for this position? Why should we hire you? Those are basic interview questions that you can literally stand in front of the mirror, or you can literally ask a friend or a family member to ask you those questions, and you can practice that answer. So practice the answer, but do not memorize it, because you do not want to sound like a broken record in an interview. You still want the conversation to flow, okay? But try and practice, research, so that you understand and you can relax your mind, because a person that is prepared has no worries or no reason to overstress about the entire interview process. Now let's get back to tip number 2. So tip number 2 is, you want to be as detailed as possible. What do I mean by that? You want to take each and every single question as if it's the only question that you're going to be asked in an interview. We know this is not going to be the only question that they're going to ask you in an interview process. But in your mind, you want to pretend as if this is the only question that I'm going to get in this entire interview process. Therefore, I need to answer this question to the best of my ability. And by doing so, when you do answer the question, you want to be as detailed as possible. You want to give scenarios. You want to paint the picture. But what you also do not want to do is you do not want to exaggerate. You want to elaborate, but not exaggerate. You want to stick to the question. When you are answering the question, you stick to the question, but you make emphasis, or you or you painting the picture to the hiring managers so that they can understand in detail in terms of your experiences or your skills. So that is tip number 2. You take the question, you pretend as if this is the last question you're getting for this entire interview process, even though it's not. And then you want to be as detailed as possible. And you want to paint a picture to the hiring managers, but you do not want to exaggerate. That is tip number 2. Now let's move on to tip number 3. Tip number 3. So tip number 3 is, yes, you're going for an interview, but you need to transfer, or you need to transform your mind not to think of this as an interview, but to actually think of this as a meeting between two people that are meeting for the first time and that are just going to have a conversation. Because in essence, this is just a conversation between people that are meeting for the first time. So it could be just one person, or it could be it could be a panel, it could be various people within the organization, or it could just be a recruitment agency. It doesn't matter. It is people that are meeting for the first time to have a genuine conversation and talk about what you have done in your career. Look at it this way. An interview process is people that are genuinely interested in hearing about you, in understanding who you are, what you have done in your career, what values you bring into their business. It's actually an exciting period, because now you get an opportunity to go and talk about yourself. So if you look at an interview process as a conversation between new people that are meeting for the first time and are just going to have a conversation over your skills and your experiences, then you have no reason to stress, because it's a conversation. So let's transform our minds to stop looking at an interview process as you're going there to be drilled with questions after questions. As much as it is going to happen, because it's two people that are trying to understand each other. It is a conversation. That is tip number 3. Now let's move on to our very last tip, which is tip number 4. Tip number 4 is something that I always say. I always say this to my candidates. I always say this to people that are close to me. If something is meant for you, it's going to be either way. So if God has put this position in your path, it's going to be either way. So there's absolutely nothing that you can do about that. So just remember, even if you go for an interview and you do not get the job, you do not get the call back, that's still fine. It only means that the position is just not meant for you. It's just not in your path. So please, with that said, you also want to be prepared for the interview. But you also want to remember, if it is yours, it will be yours either way. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next week. If you have not subscribed on the video, what are you waiting for? So please take care of yourself, and I will see you next week. Thank you for watching.